Greetings, all you metahumans out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, coming at you with another Young Justice Outsiders episode review. This time it's Season 3, Episode 5, titled Covert Ops. Now, this one actually picks up on New Genesis, home of the New Gods, who are in stark opposition to Darkseid and his Agents of Apocalypse. This is all created by Jack Kirby, and it's known as the Fourth World. We pick up with the Bug People, led by Mantis and the little guy known as Forager. They're making a deal with Orion, son of Highfather, leader of New Genesis. He is also biologically the son of Darkseid, but because of a trade, in order to, keep from their two civilizations warring, Orion was traded to Highfather, and Highfather's son was traded to Darkseid. The son's name was Scott Free, who became the superhero Mr. Miracle. But that's enough backstory. Apparently here, they're doing a trade of, apparently it's books for the bugs in exchange for certain types of crystals to the new gods. Apparently they're worth a lot, but more than likely they're being used for some kind of nefarious scheme, as we ultimately end up seeing that the new gods have betrayed the bugs, and there's a big attack with various what looks to be human metahumans. And as they make off with the goods, Mantis disowns any involvement with the new gods, saying that they have no honor. But one of the new gods, Forager, questions that, having a good relationship with a lot of the new gods. He deeply questions whether or not, that was actually the intent here. We also pick up with Brion, who's still kind of trying to get his brother Gregor to bring him back home. However, the Markovian Parliament have been very much railing against any involvement with any metahumans, not wanting Brion to come home, pushing out the Karakis in order not to have any more metahumans brought into the country. And it doesn't, everything going on with Baron Bedlam doesn't really excuse the whole involvement that metahumans were at the core of it. So the government doesn't want any involvement from metahumans whatsoever. This event is kind of disrupted by the arrival of Big Bear, one of the Forever People that we saw during Season 1. It's weird that it's taken so long for us to actually get the Forever People back in the action. But he comes in, and he's overjoyed to hear about Superboy's engagement to Miss Martian, all this good stuff. Big Bear is a Big Bear. He's very friendly, nice, very, very hospitable person. Although he does hint that certain issues are arriving between him and his girl Dreamer. But he tries to explain the situation, very much helped with the aid of Magan, who uses a psychic link so he can even show them what happened, where we come to find out that the Forever People were investigating the whole situation between the bugs and Orion, with Forager giving them a little bit of information and even providing them with a sample of one of the people who attacked him that shows metahuman DNA. So he's come to get a little bit of aid from Superboy and the others, because it's more of a earthling matter. But ultimately, Superboy stays behind, not wanting to just up and leave Brion specifically, and mostly because he'll be meeting up with Nightwing, so he doesn't want to miss out on that. But Magan offers her assistance just in order to help out Connor for the most part. So, something that a lot of people were kind of talking about during the start of this season was the fact that a lot of the newer characters and the older characters, like the current team, we're not really we didn't really have that much time with them during the first few episodes. But here and now, we're finally getting them in play in some way, shape, or form. But that was probably always going to be the thing. Once everybody started splitting off, everybody kind of made it seem like we were never going to see those characters involved in anything. But of course not. There's a lot of moving parts during this series. Always has been, always will be. And this is the time and place to start bringing certain plot points back to the forefront. Get a little bit more involvement of certain things here and there. So I'm glad they're really starting to delve into that and, get people in to know that, no, we're going to be seeing everything. Magan's team, Nightwing's team, Batman's team, even Justice League stuff. We're going to explore all avenues throughout this. This isn't just a minor incident. There's a larger scheme going on here, and it's going to be all hands on deck as it goes along. I also love the fact that Jaime is hanging out with Tracy 13 and Bart, because Tracy 13 was a close friend of Jaime Reyes in the comics. So, to see that is a nice little kind of Easter egg situation. We also have a moment where Cassie is, talking with Tim over the fact that, he just kind of blindsided her with that moment where he just up and dipped. So she's not too happy about that whole situation. Static even gives a small comment like, awkward. But the team is called in, ready to go on the mission. It's nice to see them all together. Well, what's left of this side of the team. Although, very much like with Teen Titans, we have still yet to fully see the Young Justice team assemble. And by that, well, to a certain degree, the original Young Justice team was Superboy Connor, Bart Allen, Impulse, and Tim Drake, Robin, and then Cassie came in, Wonder Girl later. And I don't think we've ever fully seen them all acting together, which is unfortunate, but the same could be said with the original Teen Titans, which was Roy Harper, Dick Grayson, Wally West, and Wonder Girl Donna Troy. And Aqualad Garth. And we've never fully seen that team assembled either, except during like one comic in the original Teen Titans series comic books, which was just a small thing. It happens. Just a personal thing on my side. So they end up going to New Genesis and get their mission underway. Meanwhile, Dick finally shows up, ready to start exploring into Halo's background and stuff of that nature. As they started investigating the various scenes and goings on the face of New Genesis, they're attacked by the bugs from before in battle gear, but Forager staves them off, saying that he had called on the Forever People to help investigate the situation. And Bear says that whoever the Orion that they were, meeting with and trading with wasn't the true Orion, because the real Orion has been off-world for a few days now. We also see Halo is, trying to connect with Brion, trying to get him to open up a little bit more, though she phrases it in a way that kind of pisses off Brion every time, where she calls him broken. But in a way, he very much is. He's very out of sorts for the most part, and he needs to get his emotional state back on track. But we've seen that from the very start with Brion, that he is a very passionate person, so to see him in this kind of emotional state makes a lot of sense. And everyone kind of discusses this with the fact that a lot of people don't really trust Dr. Helga, or Black Lightning does to a certain degree, because she was the scientist who performed a lot of the experiments, Brion's anger issues, Halo's memory loss, and how, you know, they don't want to go too far with what they do with her because, even if McGann read her mind, it's easy to forge memories. She could be a sleeper agent, very much like how Will Harper was, and I love the insight that Snapper Carr gives from time to time on this too, who I didn't realize that was Snapper because they keep referring to him by his actual name, Lucas, and Snapper Carr is voiced by Greg Wiseman, which, I didn't realize that when I was initially watching this series, and then I'm like, looking through the credits, I'm just like, oh snap, that's Greg Wiseman, oh, that's so cool. But he has some funny moments here and there. And Snapper Carr was the kind of sidekick to the Justice League, their plucky young side character who, got into mischief here and there and did little things here and there. A lot of super teams tend to have that one kid sidekick who just sticks around and gets into all kind of trouble. The Avengers had Rick Jones for that for a while, but you don't really see that kind of thing too much nowadays. We also see Brion trying to practice a little bit with his powers and this which is good because you do definitely need some practice. Meanwhile, we see the team and Bear just scoping out the situation where we have Megan disguising herself as one of the bugs in a meeting between them and Orion to kind of get some insight into who this imposter truly is. And after they meet up, Magan realizes who this fake Orion is and asks to speak with him privately. Whereas Brion, during his training, he's tries to get things right, but he starts to kind of lose himself to his anger yet again and burns off his clothes. Whereas Halo gets her training underway for a little bit to kind of explore her powers, where we discover a new color for her, whereas purple is healing, orange is flight, red is defense, and this one actually forms balls of energy that Halo can fire off, although she needs some practice in staying on her feet when she fires out this blast because she kind of knocks herself out. Meanwhile, Magan talks it over with this person who she calls brother, and we come to find out this is Macamors, her brother, who goes by the new name Malefaik. Malefaik, in this continuity, is described as a Martian boogeyman, but in reality, in the original DC comics, Malefaik was the brother of John Joes, the Martian Manhunter, who had actually unleashed this plague upon their world that destroyed the Martian people. And in the New 52 continuity, Malefic was a Martian sorcerer who had done dangerous experiments and stuff like that. So in a way, Malefic is the Martian boogeyman. And Magan's brother talks of the fact that he wants to be seen as a boogeyman to the Martian people because they, the white and red Martians treat the white Martians as, less than human. And there's always kind of been that racial war going on between the Martian people and the white Martians specifically, who are seen as, very dangerous beings. And Malefic sees some similarities between himself and the bugs, who are treated as less than by the others, whereas the new gods, are on this floating kingdom up in the sky, whereas the bugs are, on the ground foraging and so far. So he feels that he is trying to free up their people and get them to wise up and rise against their oppressors, even though Malefic is pretty much doing the same thing with the enslaved metahumans that he has under his control. And once Magan makes it very clear that she is not willing to join with Malafake in order to rise up against the um, oppressors on Mars, where he's doing this favor pretty much for the light. It's pretty much obvious he's joined the light in doing this, who have agreed to help him with his revolution on Mars with the white Martians. Once it becomes clear Magan isn't in on that, he has the metahumans that are under his control attack her. Meanwhile, Halo heals herself from her, little accident there, but Brion has decided to go off on his own, not really knowing what he wants to do with his life now that he is no longer allowed back in his own country. However, Connor and Dick do their best to get him to stay, with Dick saying that they'll go search for Brion's sister, Tara, or Tara, however you want to pronounce it here, just to, keep him around and keep him under a good amount of surveillance. I mean, he is ultimately a prince, and he's also kind of Dick's responsibility since he was the one who ran the ops. Meanwhile, Magan is helped by the intervention of Bear and the others. And as Magan engages in a psychic battle with her brother, the metahumans go on the offensive, with Tracy, whose power in the original comics were actually more just general magic. It's more of a wave of bad luck that she unleashes. So very much like how Jesus Christ, what's her name? Jinx, in the original Teen Titans, whose powers didn't work that way in the comics either. So, it's just a general bad luck ability that they like to just kind of send out there, because it's a more understandable ability and more centralized than just general magic. So it creates some trouble for some of the two metahumans, with Wonder Girl coming in and grappling with them, and Static and all that good stuff. However, the Bugs, despite their original alliance with the team and the New Gods, have decided to just completely go on the offensive. No one, us against the world kind of situation, with Forager, having some conflicts about where he stands with this whole situation. And as the leader Mantis goes into attack the wounded Blue Beetle and Wonder Girl, he is stopped by Forager, who has decided to ally himself with the superhumans. And on the psychic plane, it becomes very clear that Magan is of a higher class of abilities than her brother, and she tries to convince him that, there were innocent times, there are other ways, because Magan has been through what Malafik is going through, where it's just like that more intense primal anger, do whatever is necessary kind of things. She almost lost Connor because of that. But, Malafik shows that he is a little too far gone, even attacking a psychic projection of a green Martian, the representation of the the prejudice that they've gone through, where green Martians would just up and attack them just because they were white Martians. But Magan shows that, she's been through so much, met with so many people who have, been so kind to her. She's been through so many things that have shown her that, love is the way. It's cheesy, but it's very sweet sentiment. But Malafik is just too far gone in his hatred and rage and aggression. And, but ultimately the jig is kind of up. His metahuman allies have been captured and the Bugs have been subdued. However, Malafik has the metahumans in order to kind of hurt his sister and distract her. He has the two metahumans self-destruct, basically killing them, and he makes his escape. But before that, he promises to exact some form of revenge on Forager for bringing his sister and the other humans here. And after Malafik is gone, Mantis pretty much disowns Forager, saying that he is a traitor to his people, that he does not trust anyone. And despite McGann trying to explain the situation to Forager, Mantis isn't having any of it, saying that the bug people will be on their own from here on out. They will no longer ally with new warriors, humans, Martians, just closing themselves to all, even Forager himself. And with Bear saying that it's not safe for Forager anywhere on New Genesis, especially with Malefique out there who can change his shape into anyone and attack at any time. And Magan, offers Forager to come back to Earth with them, leaving his home behind. A very sad moment for Forager. Forager's inclusion in this series still intrigues me because Forager was never the most prominent DC character. I know that recently, within the last year, he had his own book, but I'm not sure if that influenced his inclusion in Young Justice, or Forager having his own book was influenced in him being included in Young Justice. So I'm not sure how that worked out, but his inclusion is very interesting. His people are very interesting, as they very much work like Cannonbolt from Ben 10, if you've ever seen that. So it's a very interesting way of attacking and all that good stuff. But this was overall a fun little series. One thing I have to make note of is the fact that Wolf is very obviously getting on in years. We don't know how old he was when we first appeared, but it's very obvious Wolf is a tired little puppy. White wolves only really live up to 8 years in the wilderness, and at most 16 years in captivity. So Wolf might be reaching the end of his time, but we'll just have to see. But that was the episode. Tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. What did you think about Forager and the whole situation with the New Gods? Well, I'm glad we're getting to see a little bit more of, specifically because of the fact that Apocalypse is obviously making more and more moves and are ready to just get their plans in motion. And what did you think about the return of Bear and the possible return of the Forever People? The fact that Magan now has big stakes, because Malefique, it's interesting that they've chosen to make him Magan's little bit of a rivalry. And it also goes to show that Magan actually is going to play a bigger part because of the involvement of her brother here. Stakes are raised and things will change and grow and evolve. Because this is 26 episodes. This will be a 26 episode season. So we're definitely going to see a lot going on over the course of this. Despite what a lot of people had thought initially because of the first 3 episodes, like I said before. But Brion is going to train. They're going to hopefully seek out Tara, who knows if the Judas contract has already happened over the course of this series. Tara might no longer be amongst the living this time around. We'll just have to see as the season goes on. But Halo is starting to grow and adapt to her new powers. How many more powers do you think she's gonna whip out? And not to mention, obviously Black Lightning is getting a little sweet on Dr. Jace. Is that going to go anywhere? A lot of good questions that are being raised, but I'm glad they involved the team this time around. It's obvious that the team isn't going to have the most involvement this season, unlike, Invasion, where the Reach and Jaime were very big plot points in the season, but they kind of had their storyline, so other characters are going to get the spotlight this time around. who other characters who weren't as involved last season. So, a little bit of give and take here and there, but they're definitely going to be around and active. But if you liked what I had to say in this video, feel free to leave me a like. If you didn't like what I had to say here, or thought I was mistaken, or did something wrong, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I'm doing wrong in the comment section below, so that I might better myself for future videos. And how about subscribing, because I'll definitely be bringing you more episode reviews of Young Justice Outsiders. But until then, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.